If the National Electrical Code adopts mandatory arc fault circuit interrupter protection for all branch circuits, and states without arc fault circuit interrupter requirements adopt the National Electrical Code without these provisions, they could potentially face downgrades in their grades from the International Code Council. The International Code Council evaluates states and local jurisdictions based on their adoption and enforcement of the National Electrical Code and other model codes. If a state adopts a code that is not in compliance with the current edition of the National Electrical Code, it could lose points in its International Code Council evaluation. This could result in a lower grade, which can impact the state's ability to receive federal funding and insurance discounts for projects. The effectiveness of arc fault circuit interrupters in preventing electrical fires is a matter of debate. While arc fault circuit interrupters are designed to detect and interrupt electrical arcs that could lead to fires, there is evidence that they can cause nuisance tripping, especially in older or complex electrical systems. Some critics argue that the widespread adoption of arc fault circuit interrupters is an unnecessary overreaction that will increase the cost of construction and inconvenience homeowners. Others contend that the potential benefits of arc fault circuit interrupters outweigh the risks and that they should be mandatory in all homes. The National Electrical Code requires arc fault circuit interrupters for specific applications, such as bedrooms, kitchens, and other areas with increased risk of electrical fire. The reasoning behind these requirements is based on statistical data that shows that a significant number of electrical fires occur in these areas. However, there is less evidence to support the mandatory use of arc fault circuit interrupters in all areas of a home. While some studies have shown a reduction in electrical fires with widespread arc fault circuit interrupter use, others have not found a statistically significant difference. States have the option to adopt the National Electrical Code as is or to modify it to suit their specific needs. If a state chooses to adopt the National Electrical Code without the mandatory arc fault circuit interrupter requirements, it does not necessarily mean that they will be penalized by the International Code Council. However, states should carefully consider the potential risks and benefits of adopting or not adopting arc fault circuit interrupter requirements before making a decision. They should consider factors such as the state's fire safety history, the cost implications, and the potential impact on homeowners and contractors. Ultimately, the decision of whether or not to adopt arc fault circuit interrupter requirements is a complex one that requires careful consideration of multiple factors. Arc fault circuit interrupters, or AFCIs, are circuit breakers that are designed to protect against electrical fires caused by arc faults. An arc fault is an unintentional electrical discharge that occurs when current flows through an unintended path. These arcs can generate high temperatures that can ignite nearby materials, leading to a fire. AFCIs work by monitoring the electrical current in a circuit and detecting the unique characteristics of arc faults. When an arc fault is detected, the AFCI quickly trips the circuit breaker, cutting off the flow of electricity and preventing a fire. There are two main types of AFCIs: firstly, branch or combination AFCIs, and secondly, outlet circuit AFCIs. Branch or combination AFCIs provide protection for the entire branch circuit, including the wiring, outlets, and appliances connected to it. Outlet circuit AFCIs, on the other hand, provide protection only for the outlets and appliances connected to them. The National Electrical Code, or NEC, is a set of standards for the safe installation of electrical wiring and equipment in the United States. The NEC is updated every 3 years, and it includes requirements for the use of AFCIs in certain areas of the home. The NEC requires AFCIs in all branch circuits that supply receptacles in bedrooms, family rooms, living rooms, dining rooms, kitchens, hallways, closets, laundry areas, and similar rooms and areas. This requirement is intended to protect against electrical fires that can occur due to damage to worn wiring, faulty appliances, or other electrical hazards. States and local jurisdictions have the option to adopt the NEC as is or to modify it to suit their specific needs. Some states have adopted the NEC with the AFCI requirements, while others have adopted it without them or with modifications. If a state chooses to adopt the NEC without the AFCI requirements, it does not necessarily mean that they will be penalized by the International Code Council. However, states should carefully consider the potential risks and benefits of adopting or not adopting AFCI requirements before making a decision. There are several factors that states should consider when making this decision. Firstly, the state's fire safety history. States with a high incidence of electrical fires may be more likely to adopt the AFCI requirements. Secondly, the cost implications. The cost of installing AFCIs can be a significant factor for homeowners and contractors. Thirdly, the potential impact on homeowners and contractors. States should consider how the AFCI requirements will affect homeowners and contractors in terms of cost, convenience, and safety. There are several arguments for and against the widespread adoption of AFCIs. Some argue that AFCIs are an unnecessary overreaction that will increase the cost of construction and inconvenience homeowners. They point to the fact that nuisance tripping could occur, especially in older or complex electrical systems. Nuisance tripping is when an AFCI trips the circuit breaker even though there is no actual arc fault. This can be caused by electrical noise, ground faults, or other electrical problems. Others argue that the potential benefits of AFCIs outweigh the risks and that they should be mandatory in all homes. They point to the fact that AFCIs can prevent electrical fires, which can cause significant property damage, injuries, and even death. They also argue that the cost of installing AFCIs is relatively low compared to the cost of a fire. The decision of whether or not to adopt AFCI requirements is a complex one that requires careful consideration of multiple factors. States should weigh the potential risks and benefits of adopting or not adopting AFCI requirements before making a decision. They should also consider the views of stakeholders, such as homeowners, contractors, and fire safety officials. In addition to the factors mentioned above, states should also consider the following when making a decision about AFCI requirements. Firstly, the availability of qualified electricians. States should ensure that there are enough qualified electricians to install and maintain AFCIs. Secondly, the availability of AFCI product. States should ensure that there are enough AFCI products available to meet the demand. Thirdly, the education and outreach efforts. States should educate homeowners and contractors about the benefits of AFCIs and how to install and maintain them properly. The International Code Council, or ICE, is a non-profit organization that develops model codes and standards for the construction industry. The ICC publishes the International Building Code, the International Residential Code, and the National Electrical Code, among other codes and standards. The ICC evaluates states and local jurisdictions based on their adoption and enforcement of the ICC codes and standards. If a state adopts a code that is not in compliance with the current edition of the National Electrical Code, it could lose points in its International Code Council evaluation. This could result in a low grade, which can impact the state's ability to receive federal funding and insurance discounts for projects. The International Code Council grading system is based on a number of factors, including firstly, code adoption. The International Code Council evaluates whether states and local jurisdictions have adopted the current edition of the ICC codes and standards. Secondly, code enforcement. The International Code Council evaluates how well states and local jurisdictions enforce the ICC codes and standards. Thirdly, training and education. The International Code Council evaluates whether states and local jurisdictions provide adequate training and education for code officials and contractors. Fourthly, code amendments. The International Code Council evaluates whether states and local jurisdictions have made any amendments to the ICC codes and standards. States that adopt the current edition of the National Electrical Code and enforce it effectively are more likely to receive a high grade from the International Code Council. States that adopt a code that is not in compliance with the current edition of the National Electrical Code or that do not enforce it effectively are more likely to receive a lower grade. The International Code Council grading system is an important tool for promoting code compliance and ensuring the safety of buildings and structures. States that receive a high grade from the International Code Council are more likely to attract businesses and residents. They are also more likely to receive federal funding and insurance discounts for projects. In conclusion, the decision of whether or not to adopt AFCI requirements is a complex one that requires careful consideration of multiple factors. States should weigh the potential risks and benefits of adopting or not adopting AFCI requirements before making a decision. They should also consider the views of stakeholders, such as homeowners, contractors, and fire safety officials. States should also consider the International Code Council grading system when making a decision about AFCI requirements. States that adopt the current edition of the National Electrical Code and enforce it effectively are more likely to receive a high grade from the International Code Council. This can result in a number of benefits, including increased safety, economic development, and access to federal funding and insurance discounts. Arc fault circuit interrupters are a valuable safety device that can help to prevent electrical fires. While there are some concerns about nuisance tripping and cost, the potential benefits of AFCIs outweigh the risks. States should carefully consider the AFCI requirements in the National Electrical Code and make a decision that is in the best interests of their residents. The National Electrical Code provides minimum safety standards. States and local jurisdictions can adopt more stringent requirements if they deem it necessary. It is important to stay informed about the latest developments in electrical safety and to follow the recommendations of qualified electrical professionals. Ultimately, the goal is to protect people and property from the hazards of electricity. This requires a collaborative effort from code officials, contractors, homeowners, and manufacturers. By working together, we can create a safer electrical environment for everyone. Electrical fires are a serious hazard that can cause significant property damage, injuries, and even death. Arc fault circuit interrupters are an effective tool for preventing electrical fires. States should carefully consider the AFCI requirements in the National Electrical Code and make a decision that is in the best interests of their residents. Remember that the electrical work can be dangerous and should only be performed by qualified professionals. If you are not comfortable working with electricity, hire a licensed electrician to do the job. Always follow safety precautions when working with electricity. Turn off the power before working on any electrical circuit. Wear appropriate safety gear such as gloves and eye protection. Inspect electrical cords and equipment regularly for damage. Replace any damaged cords or equipment immediately. Do not overload electrical circuits. Use extension cords sparingly and never run them under rugs or furniture. Keep electrical appliances away from water. Be aware of the signs of an electrical problem, such as flickering lights, sparking outlets, or a burning smell. If you notice any of these signs, call a qualified electrician immediately. By following these safety tips, you can help to prevent electrical fires and protect yourself and your family from the hazards of electricity. Arc fault protection is an essential part of modern electrical safety. Understanding the technology and code requirements can help ensure a safer living environment. Always consult with a qualified electrician for any electrical work or concerns. This information is for educational purposes only and should not be considered a substitute for professional electrical advice. Always consult with a licensed electrician for any electrical work or concerns. Electrical codes and regulations can vary depending on your location. Be sure to check with your local authorities for the most up-to-date information. Electrical safety is a shared responsibility. By working together, we can create a safer electrical environment for everyone. Remember, electricity is a powerful force that can be dangerous if not handled properly. Always take precautions and follow safety guidelines when working with electricity. Staying informed and proactive is key to preventing electrical hazards. This information is intended to provide a general overview of AFCI requirements and their impact. It is not intended to provide specific legal or technical advice. Always consult with a qualified professional for guidance on your specific situation. The decision to adopt AFCI requirements is a complex one that should be made on a case-by-case basis. There is no one-size-fits-all answer. Consider the factors discussed and make an informed decision that is in the best interests of your community. The information provided here is based on the National Electrical Code and other industry standards. These standards are subject to change, so it is important to stay up to date on the latest developments. Electrical safety is an ongoing process. By continuously learning and improving our practices, we can create a safer electrical environment for everyone.